Welcome to Story Went Viral, where we talk all about the stories that you're sharing online and what it's really like to go viral. I'm Tim.
And I'm Hannah, and we are very excited to take you through what went viral and also what it's like to go viral on this week's podcast. So, Tim, over to you to introduce some of our stories.
Okay, first up, dating, always an issue, the rights and wrongs of it, but this is particularly... shall we say, controversial approach to dating.
Divisive.
Pardon?
Quite divisive, I'd say.
And whether you should upgrade your meal, should we say. Let's take a little look and we'll explain a bit more in a moment.
Is this going to be extra? And she says, yes, it's $3 extra. And he said, okay, then never mind. Over there, and I'm like, what the actual fuck? I'm like, okay, I'm hungry. I'm going to eat my branzino and see what happens.
And I mean, for context, the background here, this was an online date, I think, set up from an online dating app. So they hadn't met before in New York City, and she's having some sort of a branzino or something. I have no idea. I don't know what that is either. But anyway, he was having a burger and clearly was kind of like being a massive cheapskate over spending an extra $3 on a slice of cheese in his burger. So she's brilliant.
$3? $2.50 for cheese? No.
I know, but you're on a date as well.
Okay, that's
like
true.
Part of you is presumably trying to like impress or show that you're not that cheap. I mean, I don't know whether a branzino or whatever it was called is more expensive than a burger anyway, but that's sort of by the by. She ended up going and paying for the whole thing, paying the whole bill, which, you know, I would have thought is pretty standard anyway. You know, either split the bill or who cares if it's the man or the woman who pays or whatever. But still, I mean, like, well done her for calling him out on it, because it's just like, we'll never see each other again. We will never eat burgers together again. And you really should have just got the cheese, which I heartily encourage. Cheese on everything, basically, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't know. I think
I would have spent $5.
Oh, look, again, the point is it went viral. It divided people. I would say that's fine. And, you know, if me and you were on a date and you did that, okay, fine. But do you need to then record it and shame this person?
Well, she hasn't named him.
No.
So it's like, sorry, are we saying sorry you went viral? I mean, presumably she's delighted that she did. And he will know that it's him, and no one else has to. So it's just like, well, actually, I'm not sorry you went viral at all. This just means he's just going to do better and hopefully improve his chances of finding a life partner.
But what's really interesting about this one is that because she didn't name him, people have basically been stitching that TikTok video, pretending to be the guy, responding to it and getting great numbers on it.
So are there some people defending him?
No, there are some people pretending to be him and filming themselves saying, yes, I stand by my rights, or no, that was way out of order. And then getting really, really popular, getting loads of views off the back of it, playing into the whole TikTok algorithm. But I mean, if you've got the time to do that, and fair enough, but it's just adding to the confusion and the virality of the story.
And it also is just like you enter the online dating world with a certain amount of trepidation in the future. Either be a bit more generous and dig deeper, or maybe you want to kind of like vet the people you're going to be having dinner with beforehand, so you know that they're not going to out you as a cheapskate if that's what you are.
Check the social profiles.
Anyway, exactly. Right, moving on. Next story.
So, pandemic, obviously, it affected everyone. Some people a lot more. But what was really interesting this week and what went viral this week was a tweet by BBC World about the pandemic and a report that claims that it wasn't as bad for people. And people had great fun at pointing out the impact it did have. So let me just get this one up. You see the tweet was, mental health crisis from pandemic was minimal, study suggests, which again, as former journalists, I'm sure we've got alarm bells going off, but people who are basically being quote tweeting, showing the crazy stuff that they did online, and they did during the pandemic. So this guy was talking about, also a guy, woman, sorry, talking about how she watched BoJack Horseman and then created spreadsheets ranking all the episodes from it.
Which is basically her way of showing how her mental health was not minimally affected,
Indeed.
let's say. I haven't actually seen BoJack Horseman, but it's some sort of humanoid kind of cartoon thing,
Yeah.
right? Which is quite dark. It's definitely not for kids. And just to clarify as well, I mean, this is a study. This isn't a study by the BBC.
No.
It's a study by, I think, the British Medical Council or something like that. But really, really interesting, because for so long we've been told, kind of post-pandemic, that that the COVID hangover is just going to will have affected so many people in terms of social distancing and working from home and all of that sort of stuff. I think the point that everyone's trying to make is that, yes, it did really affect me, but also, like, this study doesn't take into account kids at all. And I think most people would accept that COVID and the pandemic and lockdown and everything had the most detrimental effect on children. So the study doesn't go into that. That's just a bit of journalistic context to it, but it is very, very funny, and perhaps food for thought for the study authors, the report authors.
Well, you talk about food for thought. There was another one which really amused me about what they did during the pandemic. It gets up here. I ate one chicken nugget a minute for 60 minutes and streamed it on Twitch.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I think
Or is it? I mean, she looks like she looks a bit ropey towards the end of it. But yeah.
But in terms of with the pandemic, how did you find that, really, in terms of for you, and how it must have been difficult for everyone?
I mean, it was really, of course, it was so difficult for everyone. I mean, I was a new mum as well, and so there's so many people who really struggled with not having any support network around them. A part of me quite liked it, in that I got to kind of like shut out the outside world and all the noise, and just kind of focus on, like, how do I keep this little person alive safely? So part of me quite liked it, but I totally just anecdotally, I would say there's that definitely, like, the pandemic had a massive impact on everyone's mental health individually and as a society as well. And so unfortunately, headlines can sometimes be a bit misleading. I don't think for a second it's the BBC's fault. I think it's just perhaps the report authors, they kind of pulled out the wrong bit of their hard work.
I'll just give an example of how the pandemic affected me. Okay,
go on then. Oh no. Oh my goodness. I don't know how to describe this. You look a little bit sort of Yeti-like.
Yeti, well.
Yeti? Is that
I think a combination of 6 months not being able to cut my hair and going just a bit crazy with it all. I think that was just before I got my hair cut, to be fair.
Yeah, and it just goes to show as well that these sort of stories do go viral because people are genuinely riled about it. Like the hangover from the pandemic is still very, very real. I mean, I can't watch certain programs that are kind of like reliving, the stuff about, like, Boris Johnson in, I think it was a Sky program or something like that, reliving his time as Prime Minister or something like that. It's too close to home. It's too close to the bone for me. I can't. It's too soon to go back there. So I think any kind of reports that kind of are contrary to what our knee-jerk reaction is to something, it's just like, oh no, don't say that. It's just gonna irritate people, because it was horrendous, wasn't it? I mean, that period of our lives was horrendous.
Yeah, hopefully in the past for us all. Next up,
slightly different tone.
Indeed, and I found this fascinating. Let me just cue this up. How to do makeup.
Patrick, what you got there?
It's a little bit of my contraband.
So what do you use the M&M for?
The M&M is for my eyeshadow.
So you rub it back and forth on your...
I do, lick it just a little bit and rub it on.
Do that for me real quick. Wow, that works. So the Fireball, I'm assuming, is for your lips.
My lips. Mm-hmm.
Same thing, you just lick it and rub it back and forth on your lips.
Amazing.
Interesting.
I mean, oh, can you take the
yeah,
off?
Amazing. There we go. Sorry.
I mean, it's Yeah, no, absolutely ingenious and so resourceful as well. I mean, it's this it's a woman in prison, for anyone who hasn't got the visual on that. And she's using an M&M. I'm assuming in the States it's the same as an M&M over here. It's like a little chocolate ball thing, right? So she's used that as her eyeshadow. Brilliant. Some other sweet as her kind of like red sweet. She's used to kind of like color her lips. And I think she uses like a toothbrush and some kind of like, for some reason, like a black toothpaste that apparently men use, and then she's using that as mascara. And I was like, this is genius. The amount of money that is spent on the cosmetics industry, and who knew that all you needed was a little bit of jail contraband to get you through. And well done her.
Incredibly inventive. Sadly, she got it taken off her because she wasn't allowed it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, did she? Oh, shame.
I don't know what it was from. It was from a documentary, a docusoap. But I found it fascinating. You got 4 million likes on TikTok alone, and someone clipped that up. Wow. So I don't know. Maybe you want to save a few bob, Hannah. Maybe you can give that a go and go down to your local sweet shop and go crazy.
Well, I wonder how long her jail term is as well, because you know she's a very resourceful individual.
I loved it.
So maybe she's already set herself up with some kind of gainful employment afterwards when she's out.
Hopefully, or set up her own TikTok channel, probably.
Probably more likely
next up,
yeah.
I love this story. This is I you know. My own proposal was amusing for its own reasons, but this I thought was fantastic. We're
going to have to hear yours
indeed.
as well.
Let me just get this one up first to show you. So this was of a BBC News presenter who spotted this on a...
yeah, this is
Nina,
Nula.
do you know her?
Yeah. Well, through Lewis, yes.
So this is it. She went to the bus stop. And again, how often do we look at bus stops and look at the signs? So someone had basically written about on the bus stops, basically like lines of proposal. And look, she said yes.
Yeah, so Nulu had essentially said, saw this at the bus stop today and I need to know what happened. I need to know what she said. So what happened, Charlotte? I need to know. So it kind of says, what does it say on there? So Charlotte, 7 years ago, we met at this bus stop. Now, will you marry me? Absolutely glorious. So Nula posted this out, a picture. It went viral. And the happy news is that Charlotte said yes.
I think it's fantastic.
Which is great. And I think, is it Rory, who's her fiance, who made the gesture in the first place? So he's the one, I guess, who's gone viral now as a result of Nula kind of picking up on this. And it's just one of those kind of like feel good stories, isn't it, as well? So well done. I'm not that sorry to Rory because he's bagged himself a wife and a massive Twitter following as a result of this.
It's brilliant. I mean, to be honest, my bus stop memories are probably about waking up drunkenly in Heathrow at 4 a.m. So I wouldn't necessarily want to recreate that in a bus stop map. But my
well, you've got to give us your proposal story.
Long story short, trying to do it. Had the ring in my pocket. I thought we'd go to the local park. Unfortunately, partner Carolyn got home later than she thought, and it was getting dark. So I was getting ready to propose as we walked around the park, and then she started to go for a jog. It's like jogging ahead. But
he started going for a jog.
So by the time I caught up with her and she stopped, it was even darker, getting dark, and basically I proposed literally in the dark as the gates were shutting. So she saw the ring, which was good. But it didn't exactly go the slick, smooth, Love Actually, for wedding style proposal in my head.
And so obviously she had no idea. So at least you had the element of surprise.
Yeah, like element of surprise is like proposing in Asda, for example. I'm not sure that it's still a surprise, but is that her ideal proposal that she had in her head? Probably not.
Will you please marry this sweaty mess who's just chased you round a park? Lovely. Well, she obviously said yes, so it worked.
Indeed.
Something there worked.
but obviously for the wedding we would need a dress, and this story again has gone viral online. Controversial, really has divided people. Let me get this up again and we will have a look at it.
So much. I feel like a mermaid. The beading reminds me of sea foam and bubbles, and the dress still feels vintage, which is exactly what I wanted. But this isn't the end of the journey. My birthday party is tomorrow night, so stay tuned for part 3.
That this is a TikToker who had a vintage dress, which she then altered to turn it into a party dress. And the backlash on it, the reason I guess it's gone viral, is because there are loads of like haters out there who are saying, no, you can't ever alter anything vintage. It's, you know, it is the way it is and you shouldn't ever tamper with it. And then there are on the other side, people supporting her saying, well, no, actually, you're just upcycling and reusing something that's beautiful and turning it into something that you can wear every day or wear to your party or whatever it is. I'm kind of more, I fully on board with her. I mean, there's always going to be people out there who just like, if it's a really famous dress, like, do you remember, I think it was at the Met Gala a couple of years ago, Kim Kardashian wore a Marilyn Monroe, like the Marilyn Monroe dress. And then there was a massive uproar about it because they'd had to alter it a bit. And apparently it was ripped and all sorts of things. But like fundamentally, I think bringing these garments and bringing art, as it is, like back to life somehow, and repurposing it, is like keeps it alive somehow. Otherwise, what's it going to do? Just sit in a museum or sit on a hanger in a wardrobe somewhere?
Indeed, I was just trying to find the clip which I recorded earlier, but now I can't. Obviously, is of her defending and explaining, saying, "Well, look, you know, when do you rework something, and when do you keep something vintage?" And she was talking about a dress from was it Laura Ashley? No, I can't remember. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I saw it, and it was a long dress, or like a floor-length dress, wasn't it? And she said, "I wouldn't tamper with this. I wouldn't change this at all because it is the way it is, and this is how it's supposed to be." And also, I mean, some dresses you just couldn't alter them. You can't really alter them to repurpose them into something else because they would just look ridiculous. The dress that we just saw there, the party dress that she altered, I mean, that's kind of like, you know, it doesn't look. It still looks good. It could have been originally as a short party dress, you know, and she's just made something, you know, great and old look kind of great and new.
Oh, indeed. I wish I was good. I was terrible at that kind of stuff. I could textiles. Just
textiles?
No ability at all. I remember making a cushion, which I think you had to then go to my mum, who then somehow got rid of it quite quickly because it was just so terrible. So
a lot of people get really precious about dresses. Because, you know, like, especially like wedding dresses, things we were just talking about proposals and weddings. So my wedding dress wasn't expensive at all. I loved it, absolutely loved it, and had it altered from, it was like an originally a bridesmaid's dress, I think, or something like that, just a high street thing. But obviously I haven't worn it since then. And I've actually, in my mind, I'm like, actually, I'm going to dye it, I think, and I'm going to alter it and repurpose it so that for our 10-year anniversary, I can wear it again. But it's just like, otherwise it's just like, what do? You just like have your wedding dress in the attic or in the loft or in the back of the wardrobe for what? Like to hand down to someone else in your family who's also going to just stick it in the attic and not see it. But I just think, like, if you can find ways of repurposing things and bringing them back to life, then all the better. And I mean, what are the arguments against her? What are people saying? Just that she's like ruining history.
And, you know, like anything, you know what happens now on social media, you put something up, some people will love it, some people will hate it. That is the way of it. And, you know, to be fair, she's gone back and she's actually been quite canny making more videos out off the back of it. Fair play to her, really. So next, this is what it's like to go viral, and this one has got Twitter particularly incensed. And look, we all have frustrating situations where we want to reach out to customer service, but I think the moral of this story is DM is your friend, and maybe not drink and tweet, I think. Do you want to explain, Hannah?
Okay, so this is a passenger on a BA flight, British Airways flight, traveling in first class. And the tweet was, "Wow, British Airways, your standards are seriously slipping. Gold Executive Club members sitting in 1A and 1C, and your staff elected to serve 1F first. No apology, just, oh, he was closest," which he totally wasn't. The race to the bottom has broken your brand. I mean, the rage you can, and the injustice, you can really hear it in his tweet, can't you? And he has since gone on to say, ill-judged, I've deleted it. I know what I meant by it. Many of you did not. In any event, I apologise for any offence taken, which would be fine. I mean, it's still embarrassing for most of us. You see this kind of a tweet and you think, oh my God, the privilege is off the scale. Who cares if someone serves someone else before you? You know, you're already in a £10,000, whatever it is, seat. And getting very much a first class service. But what I find interesting about this is that he hasn't stopped there. So he sort of posted it and then apologized for it. But now he's still going with the kind of the social media engagement on it. And he's obviously had a load of criticism, loads of people slagging him off. I don't think there's been anyone who's
not
defended
seen,
him. I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Let me just pull up his page and we can have a look. But yeah, he was also then complaining about before about the lounge not showing the rugby, for example. I don't know.
Oh, the airport.
So yeah, he's pinned his apology, and then he's then put up his views on society and politics. Should have logged into Twitter.
So what are his views on society and politics then?
Nothing related to this situation at all. He's just putting his 2 pennies worth why he's got attention.
So, but he clearly is very much in favour of the kind of like hierarchical split, social division of like, there are some people, the haves and the have-nots. No?
I think it's just why he's got some attention. He's giving his views on things.
Well, this is what I think is really interesting because this section we're talking about like what it's like to go viral, and one would think in his case it hasn't been very pleasant because he's had a load of abuse and whatever in return. But the fact that he's still kind of like posting his views, he's properly kind of like jumped on this bandwagon, hasn't he? He's got a platform now. He's got people who are interested in him, whether they like him or not, and he's running with it. And you think, well, okay. Sorry, but not sorry you went viral. I mean, presumably he's quite pleased he did. Otherwise, he would have crawled back into a hole by now.
Pulled out. He's trying to pass on the shame in the sense of just highlighted on here. So he apologised and deleted his original tweet. And then there's an account called Passenger Shaming, which I'm assuming loves content like this where passengers rant or complain on social media, which then they pick up. And he's complaining that the account still has their tweet up, which is never, can never happy. But that's the thing, you lose that control. Once you go viral, it's very hard to control it and stop it and take control of it.
And just out of interest, did the crew on that particular flight, because he does name the flight in his first tweet, have the crew responded at all, or the member of staff in question?
Let me get this up. So he has apologised to BA for the incident and for the tweet. So he says, however, no excuse, and I apologise to all, including British Airways, who are generally the most wonderful of people. I think indeed.
Very generally.
I think my tweet history stands testament to how much I love this airline, and I hope this will treat this last blip as an anomaly. Mea culpa. And Kit from BA has replied and said, thanks, Leoe. So,
wow. Well, maybe he'll just be banned from the first class lounge in the future. He'll be pushed down the executive club membership and have to sit with the plebs in the main airline in the main airport, in the body of the airport. That would be I mean, I doubt whether they'll do that. I mean, why would they? He's spending an absolute fortune on flying at that level.
Very difficult. Again, I think sometimes it's just dealing with the issue privately than posting it all on social media, I think.
Yeah. Or post it all on social media, get a big social media following, go viral. And then
otherwise, what would we have to talk about? Okay, so this is a moment of mindfulness. This is where we like to just, we know social media can be very intense and all-encompassing and a bit much, but this is a moment where we like to share a clip that has gone popular, it's gone viral on social media, just because it's nice and hopefully can reset our minds and take the stress out of things. Hannah, do you want to explain what we're about to see?
Yeah, there's no purpose to this. It's just really nice images of goats eating tomatoes.
Let me get it up and enjoy this moment of bliss. I think that's lovely. Who knew that goats eating would be so enjoyable?
Calming. It's so calming. And I think even if you haven't got the visual on this and you can't see it, but you're just listening to the audio, that sound of them chomping through big, fat, juicy tomatoes, there's something so satisfying about it. And it's one of those things I can, if I find something that I can watch that I, have enjoyed first time round, I can go back and watch it over and over and over and over again. So it's the sort of thing that I would use as my break in a day or something like that. Be like, do you know what? I've got a couple of minutes spare. I'm going to go and sit down and watch those goats chomping through some tomatoes.
Indeed, I think the Vine Ranch who posted that realised that they've various hashtags on their post: ASMR eating, ASMR sounds, tomatoes. They know this is the kind of thing you just need to relax. ASMR.
What's ASMR?
I can't do the exact definition, but it's just hearing stuff that's relaxing and comforting. And you put your headphones on and you can just try to relax.
So do you think that are they in America or somewhere? So do you think that they knew that this was likely to kind of get a lot of traction and potentially go viral, and that's why they posted all the various hashtags with it?
I'm sure they know, but hey, who cares? It's just a lovely bit of video. Happy goats.
Yeah, happy goats.
Right, that's it for this week. Thanks very much for taking the time to listen or watch the show. Of course, you can catch up on any of those clips on YouTube, Saw You Went Viral, and on Instagram, Saw You Went Viral as well, and on Twitter with the same handle. Get in touch with the show at sawyouwentviral@gmail.com, or tag us in any other clips you think we should feature on next week's show. But for Tim and for Hannah, just say thanks very much. Have a good week.